Imagine walking down a street and, knowing exactly which house is going to flood next spring.
Right. Or looking at an empty dirt lot and knowing it's basically guaranteed to double in value in like 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you aren't just looking at bricks and pavement at that point. You're reading the hidden source code of a neighborhood.
I love that framing. The hidden source code.
Yeah, it's powerful. Welcome to a brand new deep dive, everyone. Today we are looking at the exact psychological blueprint that professionals use to engineer just unshakable trust.
And we are pulling from a really fascinating source today. It's excerpts from Module 3 of a guide.
Right.
And the guide is titled Mastering Authority as a Local Real Estate Expert.
And it is such a remarkable document to read through.
It really is. I mean, on the surface, it just presents itself as a basic training manual for real estate agents,
Sure, like a how-to guide.
Right. But when you really drill down into the mechanics of what is being taught here,
Yeah,
it is a total masterclass in behavioral psychology.
100%.
It lays out how any professional, like operating in any localized industry, can systematically construct a professional reputation that essentially becomes bulletproof.
Which is huge. And so our mission today is to tear down that blueprint.
Yeah.
We want to see how these agents transition from being generic, easily ignored salespeople into, well, indispensable community fixtures.
Indispensable is the perfect word for it.
Because whether you are actively looking to buy or sell property, or you're simply a learner, fascinated by how authority is built from the ground up, this playbook reveals the exact gears turning behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
it really pulls the curtain back.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the guide doesn't start with sales tactics, which I found surprising.
Right, no scripts or cold calling tips.
Exactly. It starts with a definitive statement about identity. It claims, and I'm quoting here, the most powerful brand in real estate is local market expert.
What's fascinating here is the deliberate rejection of scale.
How do you mean?
Well, we are so conditioned to believe that the biggest brand is always the most trusted brand, right?
Yeah, totally.
But this text argues that in real estate, the ultimate peak of branding is hyper-local specialization.
Hyperlocal.
Yeah, not the hardest worker, not the firm with the most offices nationwide, but the local market expert.
Yeah, wait, I have to push back on that a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
When I drive down the highway, the agents staring down at me from these massive, 50-foot billboards, they are the ones who seem to have all the power.
Right, the big smiling faces.
Yeah. Or the agent in the flashiest suit on the side of a city bus bench. That projects authority to me.
Sure.
Doesn't sheer volume and visibility equal trust in the consumer's mind? Like, automatically.
Well, that is the traditional assumption, yeah. But the text points out how the modern consumer experience has totally fractured that logic.
Fractured it how?
Think about it. We are currently living in an era of absolute information overload.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyone with a smartphone can pull up a massive national real estate aggregator, right? And see 10,000 listings in a matter of seconds.
Right. It's all right there in your pocket.
Exactly. So the sheer volume of information is no longer a competitive advantage for an agent to offer.
Because the consumer already has all the volume they could ever want.
Exactly. In fact, for a buyer staring at a screen at midnight, that ocean of data is a massive source of anxiety.
Oh, I've been there. It's overwhelming.
It is. The national billboard doesn't help a family figure out if a specific street is going to be a total nightmare to park on during snowstorms, you know?
Oh, wow. That reframes it completely.
Right.
It's basically the difference between a general practitioner and a highly specialized surgeon.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Like if you have a mild cough, you might just walk into any national chain clinic.
Oh, whoever is available.
But if you need complex surgery on a very specific ligament in your knee,
You don't want the general guy.
you absolutely do not want the generalist who sees 100 random ailments a day.
Yeah.
You want the surgeon who only operates on knees. When a buyer is making the largest financial transaction of their life, they don't want a generalist who technically covers a 50-mile radius.
They want someone dialed in.
They want the mayor of that specific zip code. They want the surgeon of that street.
And the source material leans heavily into that exact consumer anxiety.
Does it?
Yeah, the local market expert brand is positioned as the pinnacle because it provides the highly specific filter the consumer desperately needs to feel safe.
But declaring yourself the surgeon of a street
Yeah.
and actually having the skills to operate, those are two very different things.
Very different.
An agent can't just print local expert on a business card and expect the market to just bow down to them.
No, the market sees right through that.
So how do they actually build the foundation for that brand? I am looking at this section of the guide detailing the required knowledge, which is lesson 3.1.
Right. Understanding your local market.
Yeah. And it is striking how little of it has to do with actual houses.
It really is.
There is almost nothing here about, like, staging a living room or taking nice photos for the listing.
Because the focus is entirely on localized intelligence.
Yeah.
The blueprint lays out 6 specific pillars of knowledge an agent absolutely must master to earn that title.
6 pillars.
Yeah, and it categorizes them in a very intentional way, moving far beyond the obvious stuff.
Okay.
It requires an understanding of the present, the future, and what I call the hidden realities of a neighborhood.
Let's break those down, starting with the present reality.
Okay.
The text explicitly mandates knowing local projects and current price trends.
Right, those are the baseline metrics.
The foundation.
Exactly. Knowing local projects means an agent isn't just aware that a building exists down the block.
Right.
They know who's building it, how many units are currently sitting empty, and what the actual lived experience is like on the ground today.
They know the actual vibe of the building.
Exactly. Coupling that with current price trends means they understand the immediate financial landscape.
They know the exact numbers.
Right. They can look a buyer in the eye and tell them exactly what a square foot is worth on that specific block this very morning.
Which is valuable, obviously, but, I mean, anyone can look up a recent sale price online nowadays.
Sure.
Where the blueprint gets really aggressive is how it forces agents to look into the future.
Yes.
It demands knowledge of upcoming infrastructure and future investment potential.
And this is where the shift from salesperson to consultant really begins to happen.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, upcoming infrastructure entirely changes the timeline of a neighborhood.
Right.
If an agent knows that a city council just approved a new light rail station 3 blocks away,
Oh, that's huge.
or that the local school district boundaries are shifting in 2 years, that changes the fundamental value of a property today.
Wow, yeah, it totally does.
It allows the agent to position themselves as someone who can see around corners.
I love that.
They aren't just selling a home for what it is today. They are advising on what it's going to become.
And then there's this third category of knowledge, the hidden realities, which the guide says requires knowing rental yield and developer reputation.
Yes.
This is where it gets highly technical, doesn't it?
Very. It requires a completely different skill set from just, being friendly at an open house.
All right.
Calculating rental yield isn't just guessing what rent might be next year.
It's not just a gut feeling.
No, it involves deep mathematical analysis.
Like what?
Understanding gross versus net yields, factoring in local vacancy rates, knowing the maintenance costs specific to that local climate, and dealing with property management fees.
That is a lot of math.
It is purely analytical data, and that data protects an investor from making a terrible math error based on just a pretty facade.
That ties directly into the final pillar, actually.
Yeah.
Developer reputation.
Yes, crucial.
This reminds me of looking at the code of a software program versus just staring at the user interface.
Oh, that's an interesting comparison.
Well, when a buyer walks into a new build, they're just looking at the UI, right?
It's just the user interface.
The UI is gorgeous. The staging is perfect. The quartz countertops are gleaming. The lighting is all dramatic.
And it looks amazing.
But if the developer wrote terrible base code,
Oh, I see where you're going.
like if they use cheap plumbing, if the foundation was poured during a freeze, if they have a history of cutting corners on insulation behind the drywall, that whole system is going to crash in a year.
And the buyer is totally blind to that bad code.
Completely blind.
They only see the countertops.
So knowing the developer's reputation is the ultimate protective intelligence.
It really is. It is the dividing line between someone just trying to get a quick commission and someone actually protecting their client's future.
Wow.
An agent armed with that hidden reality will physically walk a client out of a beautiful brand new home because they know the builder's track record is a liability.
They'll just say, nope, we're leaving.
Exactly. That level of protection is how you build a bulletproof brand.
But, and here's the catch, having all this hyper-localized data locked in your head, knowing the present trends, the future infrastructure, the hidden bad code, it's utterly useless if you are a secret agent.
Right. If no one knows, you know it.
You could be the smartest real estate mind in the zip code, But if nobody knows it, you just have a lot of localized trivia.
A very impressive trivia player.
Exactly. There has to be a translation phase. How do
Yes.
they take that raw data and turn it into a beacon for these terrified buyers?
Well, the guide tackles this in Lesson 3.2 by outlining a very specific public-facing strategy.
Okay.
It's all about creating local market content.
Content creation.
Right. It instructs agents to broadcast their knowledge by generating local property price updates, project walkthroughs, infrastructure updates, investment analysis, and local market trends.
Looking at that list, I notice a complete absence of traditional marketing.
What do you mean?
There are no just sold flyers.
Oh, right.
There are no list your home with me graphics.
And that omission is entirely the point.
Is it?
Yes. Think about it. Traditional marketing asks the consumer for something.
It asks for their business.
Exactly. It asks for their attention or their business or their contact info.
Right.
This content strategy does the exact opposite. It gives away the 6 pillars of knowledge for free.
Ah, I see.
Every project walkthrough or infrastructure update perfectly mirrors the required intelligence we just discussed.
It's putting it out there.
The agent is systematically putting their internal expertise on public display.
And the text gives a very specific example of how to package this.
It does.
It suggests creating a piece of content titled Top 5 Investment Projects in Noida Extension.
Yes, that exact title.
Here's where it gets really interesting, just analyzing the psychology behind that specific title.
It's deeper than it looks.
It really is. Think about the cognitive load on a buyer looking at a massive developing area like the Noida Extension.
Oh, it's massive. They are likely staring at dozens, if not hundreds, of identical development brochures.
Right, all the buildings look the same.
The decision fatigue is paralyzing.
It is entirely paralyzing.
Yeah.
You are sitting at your kitchen table at midnight, scrolling through endless listings on your phone.
Yeah.
And your brain is just panicking because you don't know the developer reputations, you don't know the rental yields, and you don't want to make $1 million mistake.
Nobody wants to make that mistake.
Exactly. So when an agent publishes a top 5 list, they are doing immense psychological heavy lifting for that buyer.
They really are. They are stepping into that chaos and creating hierarchy.
Yes.
They are applying a filter to the noise.
They are taking all that dry data from the 6 pillars and running it through their expert lens.
Which is so valuable.
Packaging the information this way turns the agent from a mere reporter of facts into a true curator of opportunities.
Oh, a curator. That's a vital distinction.
Right. A reporter just relays information. Here are the 50 projects currently being built in this area.
Which doesn't help the midnight scroller.
Not at all. A curator assigns value and takes on the risk of an opinion. Here are the 5 projects actually worth your money, and here's exactly why.
It saves the buyer an immeasurable amount of mental energy and anxiety.
And that distinction between reporter and curator,
That is the crux of modern authority.
is it?
Oh, absolutely. Anyone can report the news of a new building going up.
Sure.
But curating the top 5 shows the agent synthesizing the present local projects, analyzing the future investment potential, and presenting it as highly actionable advice.
It's the proof of the pudding.
It is the ultimate public demonstration of that hyper-local expertise.
Which brings us to the culmination of this entire strategy.
Lesson 3.3.
Right. We have tracked the goal of becoming the local market expert. We have broken down the 6 pillars of localized knowledge.
Yep.
And we have seen how curating that data into formats like the top 5 list relieves consumer anxiety.
A clear path.
The guide then bridges this content creation directly to the concept of earning authority. It details that authority is built through market insights, property comparisons, investment advice, and data-based posts.
All giving, no asking.
And it crystallizes this entire philosophy into a 4-word mantra. Knowledge builds authority.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, those 4 words represent a massive paradigm shift in how trust is acquired today.
A shift from what?
Well, historically, authority in business was aggressively demanded.
Demanded?
Yeah, you demanded it by buying the biggest advertisement in the Yellow Pages.
Oh, wow, the Yellow Pages. Throwback.
Right, or running the most television commercials, or simply speaking the loudest in the room.
Whoever shouts the loudest wins.
Exactly. But this blueprint teaches that modern authority cannot be demanded anymore. It must be demonstrated.
Demonstrated.
By consistently offering deep property comparisons and highly researched database posts, the agent proves their intrinsic value before the consumer ever signs a single piece of paper.
So what does this all mean for you, the consumer?
It changes everything for the consumer.
It really does. Because when you encounter an agent, or frankly any professional, who is operating on this exact blueprint, it fundamentally shifts the power dynamic of the relationship.
Yes.
When someone is consistently providing you with rigorous investment advice and market insights, you stop viewing them as a transactional salesperson.
Right. The person who only appears when it is time to collect a check.
Exactly. You begin to view them as a crucial partner in your financial life.
A consultant.
You see them as a consultant because they have freely given you the knowledge that protects you from making a catastrophic error.
And when a consumer views a professional as an indispensable consultant rather than a salesperson, the inherent friction of a sales transaction simply vanishes.
It just disappears.
The consumer doesn't feel sold to, they feel guided.
Which is exactly what they wanted when they were scrolling at midnight.
Yes, the professional becomes the obvious, undeniable choice for the job.
That is the true power of the local market expert brand.
It is about becoming undeniably valuable to a specific geographic area through the relentless, generous sharing of localized truth.
It really is a masterful progression when you step back and look at the mechanics of it.
It is brilliant.
You don't start by asking for trust.
Never.
You start by acquiring hyper-specific knowledge, the infrastructure timelines, the rental yields, the hidden developer flaws.
The bad code.
The bad code, exactly. Then you cure the consumer's decision fatigue by curating that data into actionable insights, like a top 5 list.
You give them clarity.
And through that active curation, the authority is naturally granted to you.
It is highly calculated and deeply rooted in solving the core problem of the modern buyer. The need for clarity and safety in an overwhelmingly noisy market.
As a practical takeaway for you, the listener, you can start using this blueprint as a personal filter immediately.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great tool.
The next time you are looking to hire a localized professional, whether it's a real estate agent, a general contractor, or a financial planner, audit their public presence.
Look at what they're posting.
Check if they're actually providing investment analysis and infrastructure updates about your specific area.
Are they giving you the 6 pillars?
Right. Are they doing the hard work of curating knowledge for you? Or are they just posting generic sales pitches, hollow slogans, and flashy photos of themselves?
The shiny billboard.
Exactly. Because you now know the mechanical difference. You know the exact blueprint of what a true expert looks like.
It empowers anyone to demand a much higher standard of expertise before handing over their trust.
And as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, one that sort of stretches the boundaries of everything we just discussed.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have spent this time unpacking the module's core mantra: knowledge builds authority.
Right.
We have seen how compiling data like price trends and executing complex property comparisons is the current key to establishing unshakable local trust.
Yes, that is the current model.
But the landscape of knowledge acquisition is shifting under our feet.
At an unprecedented speed, honestly.
So ask yourself this: what happens to this psychological blueprint when artificial intelligence becomes seamlessly and fully integrated into our local platforms?
Oh, wow.
What happens to the local market expert when a terrified buyer can ask an AI to instantly generate a perfectly accurate, historically contextualized list of the top 5 investment projects in Noida Extension and receive it in 3 seconds?
That is going to disrupt everything.
If a machine can effortlessly aggregate the price trends, perfectly analyze the upcoming infrastructure, and instantly evaluate the complex math of rental yields, wait, if it can do all that, will the definition of authority have to fundamentally evolve?
It would have to.
Will it shift away from simply having the localized data and move entirely toward how humanly, how carefully, and how empathetically a professional can guide a buyer through that data?
Wow.
When the knowledge is free and instantaneous, maybe the new authority becomes pure human empathy.
That is a profound question about the future of what it means to be an expert in any field, really.
Something to think about the next time you are looking at a neighborhood skyline, wondering about the hidden source code beneath it. We want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Our goal is always to unpack the world a little bit further and hopefully make you a more informed, curious thinker. We will catch you next time.